Well, hello and welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for day 4 of the Get Booked to Speak Bootcamp. So, as always, a lot to cover. Today is not going to be any different. So, definitely comment in the chat. So far, what have you been learning from this entire series? I already shared this before. As a global speaker in the global circuit, I have seen so much trial and error amongst my community, amongst my peers, trying to break into the speaker market. And it's been really frustrating to not only see the issues that a lot of people who have face to break into, also seeing the lack of diversity of great phenomenal speakers taking main stages around the world, and I want to change that. And so this entire series is something that I do once or twice a year to not only support my community and get them to know the other side, the things that people don't talk about in terms of how to become a paid public speaker on a global circuit, but more importantly, how to leverage the experiences to give thought leadership, insight, and inspire people in different audiences of different backgrounds and credibility. So I'm really happy to be here with all of you for day 4 of this iconic series. And as per usual, we have a lot to cover. So before we dive into today's content, I do want to remind everyone about the invitation that went live this week to join me for the Paid Speaker Career Accelerator program. If you have been phenomenally, just transformed in terms of insight and practical strategy over this past couple of days for this boot camp series, which based on the comments and the feedback, you guys have just been like, wow, Christine, this is like tangible stuff that you should be paying for this week, right? If you have learned a lot from this, been able to execute, I've seen many of you are updating your LinkedIn profiles, updating your signature talk, updating your profiles in so many different ways, then I invite you to join me for a private, more intimate experience where I'm going to be able to deep dive with you and really help you get from, someone who's not getting speaking engagements on a regular basis to get there to market by reviewing your bio, your signature talk, your profile, your LinkedIn, and really auditing and helping you edit and position yourself for success as a global speaker through my signature program, which is the Paid Speaker Career Accelerator program. I shared this before. I do this program usually only once live a year. So this is your opportunity to join the program this spring because it starts actually next week. So this is a prime opportunity. And the bonus that actually expires on Friday or whatever comes sooner, because we only have about slots for this, where the bonus offer is anyone who joins the program not only gets to have live coaching experiences with me for 4 weeks for this program, but in addition, once you complete the program, you have a private one-on-one session with me, which is usually a very powerful, insightful strategy session. The bonus that you're getting for this program that expires this Friday is the opportunity to have 2 private one-on-one sessions with me personally to deep dive into your brand and your profile. So this is a phenomenal opportunity. Now, I do want to congratulate those who joined the program already over the past couple of days. You guys have been trickling in. You've gotten to know and meet the team. William, Obed, Nees, Dan, everyone on the team has been onboarding people as much as they can. And what I love is that obviously for those of you who are still on the fence, a lot of you have asked a lot of different questions via email. So I just want to answer some of those questions for those of you who just need this final bit of information to be able to close today or tomorrow before the deadline passes. So first and foremost, as stated before, I host this program virtually live. We go live twice a week together for 1 hour each, similar to this experience, but more intensive. Okay. And the program starts in mid-May and ends in June. Okay. So it's a 4-week program. The format is virtual for 4 weeks. Sessions, like I said, are twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's about 8 sessions in total where I'm coaching you in a small cohort of other individuals with this phenomenal blueprint to help you get paid as a public speaker. Now, the structure, if you've seen my how I engage with all of you during this boot camp, obviously there's a lot of content to share. So you got really a renegade deep dive of content. But each session really consists of me going over a strategy for about 20 to 30 minutes. And during the second half of the co-working session, then we actually collaborate on a Word document and we execute on a strategy. So if we're talking about LinkedIn profiles, we're going to start working on your LinkedIn profile during the same session that I'm teaching the strategy. If you have your bio and we're going over a bio strategy, then I'm going to go over your bio right hands on that session. That way, every time we meet, you're getting practical actionable insights for your brand. So there's no time for theory, it's only execution. And then many people have asked, because people know that I have a team working alongside me with the logistics of managing any of my coaching programs. And this is one of two signature programs that I do in a year. I don't do multiple different programs. And I just want to make it very clear that you're working directly with me, not my team. So I'm going to be your advisor throughout the entire duration of the program. I'm the one that's going to be auditing your profile, reviewing your work for each session, not the team. So I'm very hands-on with this program. This is the most intimate access you will have to me as an advisor and as a consultant and a strategist for your personal brand. Obviously, all recordings are available the same day. If you're missing a session, I've told people before, don't worry if you have a schedule conflict. I'm a mother of four, a busy woman with several different companies out there in the market. So I know there will be times where you cannot make every session. That is not a problem live. We do have opportunities for you not only to get the recording, but let's say you had a burning question that you needed to resolve. Like maybe you had a deadline for a bio, maybe you found a speaking engagement, you want to craft the email. You could send the question to me in advance and I will do a video live response to you during the call. So because the call is so small, I'm able to do that. So schedule confident or not, you're going to get what you need every single week to make sure that you're advancing your goals and aspirations to become a global speaker. Resources, in addition to live sessions, I provide spreadsheets for client traction, email scripts for client outreach, templates for outlining your signature talk, and so on and so forth. So you're never starting from scratch from a blank slate. You're leveraging templates and things that I still use to this very day. Okay, this is not something I've done in the past. This is stuff that I still use to this very day to close speaking engagement. As far as the community goes, you're going to have access to an entire community of supportive people, participants who are also going to give you feedback and insights during your experience. I find that to be incredibly insightful when you have multiple eyes, multiple people giving you their perspective on it. But at the end of the day, it's being led by me. I'm advising you throughout the duration, but you also have a community support network with my team and the participants. Now, here are two things that I know will blow your mind because, again, this is one of my legacy projects. So this is something that's really dear to my heart that, just because you complete the program, I'm not going to say bye. Anyone who's been a client of mine will tell you, I always follow up even once a year, multiple times a quarter to check in to see how things are doing. So post the program, once the program is completed, I conduct several monthly follow-up sessions, about 2 or 3, to make sure that you're not reverting back to old habits, that you're staying on code, staying on goals to getting yourself booked engagements. And this is by far probably one of the most unique offerings that it's available in any coaching experience. Usually once you do a program, that's it. They say bye-bye, take your money and leave. I don't do that. I follow up. I follow up because I'm confident in the content and the practical strategy that I'm giving you to want to follow up, but also because I'm committed to your growth and your development to make sure that you are succeeding as you go out there into the market. So I do post-program support. And last but not least, the bonus is, of course, those of you who pay in full, you get access to the one-on-one session. If you book by this Friday, you get the phenomenal opportunity of having 2 private one-on-one sessions with me. So this is obviously a phenomenal opportunity for you to work with me live for over the course of several weeks to help you become a paid public speaker. So I want to, again, invite you to the Paid Speaker Career Accelerator program. The investment is a no-brainer. You will make that back again tenfold through speaking engagements that you're going to get through the experiences of learning from someone who's been there before and is teaching you how to do it as well. So wanted to answer those questions. So now getting back to the boot camp, we have so much to cover today. Today's day 4. Already we have completed 3 sessions. We talked about on day 1, pretty much an overview of the speaker landscape so you can have an understanding of just like how competitive it is, but also how much room for opportunity there is in the global speaker circuit right now. So I welcome you guys to get excited for this time. Despite the global economy, this is a perfect time to really build your brand as a public speaker because there's so many that are needed. The demand is very, very high. And I shared with you on the first day 5 secrets to do that. Comment, replay if you want access to the replay from day 1, and we'll provide that for you. On day 2, we got right into business. We want to position your brand so that when people find you, they know you're the right person for the job. So we have worked on LinkedIn profile, on day 2, where I help you craft your value statement so you can optimize your titles. On LinkedIn, I gave feedback on how to optimize your entire profile. And absolutely, I did a live audit so that way you guys could see the thought process of someone who books speakers, so that way your profile is optimized for opportunity. And then yesterday, I said this before, that, what gets separates a speaker who's just get invited to speak for free on a consistent basis between a speaker that's paid the big bucks, like the 5, 10, 20, 30K per engagement, is the one who had that introspective process of not only have a bio that really attracts and tells a narrative and a story that's inspiring, but also someone who has a signature talk. And I share with you the breakdown of a signature talk. I gave you an example of my journey of creating my signature talk that you could Google and troubleshoot and see for yourself. But the process that we undergo, a little window into it in the accelerator program, where I help you refine the title, the description, the takeaways of your signature talk so you could charge. Okay. That you understand that's the benefit that you're getting from those customers. So we address a lot. We also address some of the challenges that some of you guys might be facing in this market of trying to break into the speaker circuit, and the opportunities that are in front of you despite those challenges. And of course, just to summarize where we're at today, now that you've learned how to position yourself and know the requirements to really create that product, which is your signature talk, today is all about finding and identifying the places where you can find speaking engagements, especially decision makers who will pay you to speak. One of the most daring secrets that I shared on the first day was the fact that many people who are novices to this industry, they constantly are looking to speak at mainstream events like conferences, business programs, or tech events, and they don't think about the institutional clients that are booking people every single day privately to come in to speak in front of employees, or the academic institutions, or inviting speakers to come into the school and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs, right? And so it's really, today I'm going to help you now take your positioning on LinkedIn, your signature talk, and start identifying target areas to identify paid speaking opportunities. So you're not constantly going back and forth with people who just want you to come in to speak for free. It's 2025. I do want to share that I don't want you to think that you should never speak for free. There are free speaking engagements that I've made lucrative partnerships and contracts and monetized amazingly so. But for me, at this stage in my career and what I share with others, you should have a quota for it. Like you should not be someone where you're taking 20 speaking engagements a year and all 19 of them are free, and one of them might be a paid gig that that's paid in kind or something like that. No, like for me, I have a quota of less than about 4 or 5 that I do, which kind of correlates with 1 per quarter of free engagements that I do throughout the year. And then after that is exhausted, I stick to, the engagements that come to my way, which happens on a consistent basis, which are paid compensation, because obviously I'm an entrepreneur. I have a business to run. And the time I take away from running that business to come speak at an event, I don't have the bandwidth to just speak at an event where I'm customizing 45 minutes an hour and not get compensated for it. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I get community invites for that all the time. And that one is fine. But as far as really crafting a powerful speech, I'm very serious about, people being compensated for really creating real value for an audience. So that's where we're at today. We're going to target those clients. Okay. So let's dive in, because I want to give you guys a visual. Okay. Some of you are so frustrated with this experience. I get this all the time. Christine, I know I'm a phenomenal speaker. I know I have a great things I can share, but it just, for some reason, it's just not working. Like, I put myself out there. I tell people I'm a speaker. I tell people I'm available. I have done all of the things, but it's not working. And I know there's a lot of frustration with this. Listen, this is not an easy market to get into now, simply because there's so much competition coming into the market. However, there is ways to be strategic. So I want to show you this matrix here where we're talking about visibility versus booking, because some of you have really great personal brands on paper, but it's not converting into opportunity for you. And that is obviously extremely frustrating if you're someone who is trying to leverage that visibility that you've created for yourself on social media, in mainstream media, at live events and convert that into paying dollars in your bank account. Okay. So the first thing I usually see when I'm auditing someone's profile to see where they're at and where the gaps of opportunity is with their profile, I look at first and foremost, let's start with the low hanging fruit. Is your social media page, i.e., your LinkedIn page, optimized to attract decision makers? Okay. That is the reason why that was the first actionable step that we took this week, which is to find out, is your LinkedIn optimized? If I go on your LinkedIn, if someone recommended you to speak, when they look at your profile, are you the right person for the job? Some of you just look scatterbrained, and that's just the truth. And judging by the audits I was doing, even those with great profiles that are accomplished are not positioned as public speakers on brand on their LinkedIn profile. So the first thing is really thinking about increasing your visibility by having an optimized social media page. And usually that's the low hanging fruit. It's not like Dubai where you build it and they will come. Yes, you'll have an optimized social media profile. And this is me being very honest. It doesn't stop there. That will attract buyers, and that might even get you a couple of conversions, right, at a low rate where a couple of people will DM you or follow up with you or say, hey, we'd like to invite you to speak based on an optimized social media profile. But that's not the full recipe. I mean, for those of you who cook, I cook almost every day. And I will tell you, like, there's certain things that ingredients you have to add to make sure you have the finished product. And that's not ultimately going to be the only thing that's going to work. So then I look at, okay, how do we increase your visibility? How do we promote you even better? So we increase the visibility of your profile by going beyond an optimized LinkedIn profile to make sure that there's caption, video, and content to showcase you as a speaker. And I give you pointers on how to leverage not just you speaking on stage, but even virtual webinars that you do. And sometimes if someone has no content at all, I tell them to like webinars to showcase to get booked for paid engagement just through webinar sessions, right? So again, that will increase your visibility, but we're still having a problem with conversion. So the next thing we talk about is really making sure that you have the product, a signature talk, by having high visibility with your LinkedIn optimized, having video content to showcasing you as a thought leader, giving great insight, and then having being known for something, having a signature talk. Now you are increasing your conversion. However, you're still a best kept industry secret where more people are knowing you in a smaller pond, but you're still not getting the big dollars that you want in terms of high visibility. Where you want to get to at the end of this conversation that I'm having with you right now is a portfolio minded public speaker where you have an optimized social media page, you have the product, which is a signature talk, you have videos capturing you in action, giving thought leadership, whether it's in a virtual webinar setting or on stage. And the biggest thing is that you have a pipeline system, and this is what we're doing today. You know how to identify your target institutional clients, you know how to reach out to them, what to say to them when you find them, how to close them, get on a call, and how to actually execute on get on that stage, rocking it out and turning every on stage opportunity into more public speaking engagement. So it becomes a domino effect, pretty much a pipeline system. So that's the start of the matrix I want to get you guys to. Some of you are not even on the spectrum. So what we've been doing over the past week is getting you to understand this is the blueprint that you need to be a successful speaker that gets paid and booked, to give your thought leadership and your value to different audiences. And these are the steps I've seen people get stuck at. And I'm here to get you unstuck at different areas of your evolution. Okay. Because at the end of the day, public speaking opens up so many doors. I've said this on a repeated basis. Public speaking has literally all my business ventures have accelerated because of my public speaking persona and my personal brand as a thought leader. I've been able to hire staff members who see me on stage who are inspired. I want to work, more towards your mission. I've closed contract deals in green rooms because of my public speaking engagements, done brand deals and partnerships. I mean, the list goes on and on. So you do not want to miss out on capitalizing on this process. And this is the reason why this 1 week is not enough. Like, I want to be able to invite you to go through this process where I deep dive into your profile for an entire month, where I'm able to have an intimate conversation with you, because I do believe that you are one speaking engagement away from a career breakthrough. And that's the truth. There are certain speaking engagements I look back on that completely changed the trajectory of my career and my exposure on a global stage. I am extremely international in terms of brands, partnerships, and institutional clients, simply purely because of how I was able to leverage public speaking engagement. So I invite you again to be a part of this movement for yourself to retake your career to the next level. So with that said, how do you get booked as a speaker? And today we're solely on identifying clients, pretty much for your signature talk, so that way you get paid and booked. And the first step is to create a system for lead generation. Usually, when I ask people, first off, some of you, I saw this from the second session. Comment who you think your target client is. And a lot of you don't even know the answer to this. So if you're on the call, again, whether you're, let me see where we're live today, whether you're live from YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or in my private Zoom, wherever you're calling in from or you're logging in from, tell me on the chat who you think your target client is, and we're going to go over this. So remember, every day, the more you participate, the more I can support you and give you feedback on what your thought process is and what your strategy is, because I love giving direct strategy on people who are on the session live with me on the call. So please share with me, comment, who is your target client? Who do you know will pay you to speak on a global stage right now? And give me something on the comments. And so while you are writing this down, I'm going to start giving feedback on this. The first thing is to create a system for lead generation. How can people find you? And I say this all the time. If you're making it hard to be found, it's going to be hard to be found, right? To get booked. And so the first thing I want to explain to you is how the speaker lineup works. And this is me removing my speaker hat and putting my event organizer hat. So you can understand behind the scenes what actually happens when people are booking. So I see people are coming up with their target clients. I'm going to start coming to you. Keep them coming in. So we already got one person already put who their target clients are. Put it in there in the chat, guys. I'm going to respond to each one of them to give you a response on who your target client is and how to find them on LinkedIn. If you want my help and support live, leverage the time and put it on the chat feed so I can respond to that. So again, I'm putting on my event manager hat because, like I said, I have an organization, the Global Startup Ecosystem, and we run hundreds. Our portfolio, we have about 60 Tech Summit brands in our portfolio. So we're the platform behind Haiti Tech Summit, Ghana Tech Summit, Nigeria Tech Summit, Her Future Summit, Africa Future Summit, Global Investment Summit, Caribbean Future Summit. We host dozens of global events with big brands every single year. So in putting my event hat on, I want to let you know, when we're doing an event, already 7% of our speaker lineup is already pre-done, right? From our network, people that we know, that we could vouch for, that we've seen, that we've interacted with, that people recommended. Like, we know who we know, okay? And usually either we know them or they have proven traction in the market, and we are going to book them. So when I say proven traction, they are a celebrity. So many of you know I've booked Jack Dorsey to keynote at my event before. I've booked Tim Draper, billionaire Tim Draper, billionaire Ben Horowitz to speak at my event. I've booked the CEO of Airbnb. I've booked like so many different powerful. I've booked presidents to speak at my event. The president of Haiti has spoken at my event almost every single year. I've booked ministers. I've booked the State Department, the U.S. government. I've booked people from Google, from LinkedIn. Like, people know this, I am a killer at closing power for speakers for my events, okay? And so these are, thoroughly bred. We have vetted them. They are not going to embarrass us on stage. These are people, think of it this way, that we know it's going to add value to our audience, either because they're going to get bookings, because once someone sees Jack Dorsey, they're definitely going to book to come to the event, or they have proven their traction where they've done something phenomenal that people know about them grassroots, and we know that they're going to add value to our audience. So that's 70% of the lineup. Excuse me. That is 70% of the lineup. So you already are out of the conversation with 70% of the event lineup. And then we're looking at, okay, now who can we find? And this is where I talk to you about, having your profile optimized, having the videos ready, and having the signature talk. This is where you get captured in the 20%. Who can we find? This is where I ask members of my team, because I don't even manage the events anymore. I have an entire team who has an entire R&D process for this. And they're looking at the market, their SEO, they're searching, they're on LinkedIn, they're on other event websites looking who are up-and-coming speakers that we should be inviting to speak right now. And sometimes it could be someone that they've been tracking on LinkedIn that's doing great webinars. This is the reason why this is all personal branding strategy. So the next 20% of our speaker lineup are people that, who can we find? And this is when the team is just like literally talking to different people. The final 10%, It's new speakers who are just like pitching us. That's people like you who is DMing us via email, and we get a lot, guys. We get thousands of requests for our events of people reaching out to speak at our events on a regular basis, right? So these are people reaching out to us saying like, "Hey, we want to speak at your event. What can we do to do that?" Blah 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 blah. Right? So they pitch us and they tell us, "Here's my speaker bio. Here's my reel. Blah 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 blah." So you are part of our, like, for those of you who are not on the speaker circuit, you are competing at a 10% group portfolio of spaces on a speaker lineup. Okay. So that doesn't mean that it's not easy to still get booked for paid speaking engagements, but what it means is that you got to be aware of how the speaker circuit works. So with that said, if you're trying to find great opportunities to speak, then I want to introduce you to a method, right, to be able to identify opportunities. And it's called the scope method. It's where you build your brand as a speaker, try to align yourself with certain speaker circuits. And I'm going to explain to that in depth. And then you create opportunities for yourself by constantly, being visible in these circuits, create a pipeline and build equity so people are recommending you to different events. And then you have this viral traction and, roll-a-thon happening where now you're getting inbound as just as much as the outbound that you're doing. Okay. So start with the speaker profile. That's everything we've been discussing thus far for this week, where we talked about, make sure your LinkedIn is optimized. Make sure your bio is telling the story and not recounting it in a chronological order. Making sure you have a signature talk. That's really optimizing your speaker profile. The getting into the speaker circuit, some of you are too scatterbrained. I've seen people who are in the medical field pitching an accounting firm to speak on their stage. You sound crazy. Think about all the different credibility areas that you already automatically identify with. Target that. So for example, my circuits, female programs. I'm a woman. Clearly, I'm a female. So women initiative programs are great circuits for me to be a part of. Entrepreneurship program. So any business program, tech program, entrepreneurship program, I'm part of that circuit. The third one could be like just the fact that I'm Caribbean and African and diaspora. So anything that has to do with the diaspora relations, African leadership and stuff like that, I get invited to all the time. So I am constantly plugged into those circuits. And you might ask, and this is what we go over in the Accelerator program, how do we get plugged into those circuits? What newsletters are you a part of? Are you DMing people once a quarter to let them know, what updates are going on? Are you doing a webinar or quarterly or something on a regular basis to showcase that you are part of these circuits? These are things that you could easily do today to increase your visibility in what we call speaker bubble circuits, okay? Where you're aligned and associated. That's the reason why you see a lot of people who are mainstream speakers who are speaking in events all the time. They're usually in similar events. So I am clearly constantly in the tech and government policy speaker circuits all the time because that's a circuit I identify with, right? And so that is a circuit. And what happens is as you're doing that, remember I tell you every event that you take part of, you create opportunities for yourself. So yesterday I shared, try to get the event organizer to publish maybe the top takeaways from your talk. So you could give them that copy and paste, make it easy. So to increase your SEO, maybe you give the recording, maybe you publish the recording of you speaking on YouTube, right? Creating opportunities to create a viral effect around your brand is very important. And then creating pipeline, which is really outreaching these circuits. So if they don't know you, you got to introduce yourself. Okay. So I show you how to identify people in the right circuits and identify and introduce yourself through LinkedIn to create that pipeline and start building your reputation and equity where people start recommending. It's like, yo, I've been following Christine for a while on her webinar. She's really good at personal branding and getting people to get build thought leadership on global stages. Maybe we should book her for our audience, right? That's me building that equity. So that's the scope method of getting you to really position yourself to attract these opportunities. And one of the fastest ways to do this, I can't stress this enough, is virtual events. Ever since the pandemic, it used to be very hard to, really put your dues out there. Many of you could test it. Comment if this is me. Say me on the chat if this is you. What used to happen is a lot of people used to volunteer to speak for free at multiple in-person events all over the world. They'll even pay for their own flights and hotel and fly to different events just to get visibility. Not anymore. Now with the dawn of the pandemic, you could actually get 15-minute speaking engagement, 10-minute speaking engagement that gives you really great visibility in different industries very, very quickly with those invitations. But also, you could create your own opportunity by doing webinars once a week, twice a month, and that also increases your equity output so people can find you and see you. This is all personal branding at the end of the day, but there's easy ways to see traction within 30, 60, even up to 90 days for you to start increasing the visibility of your brand to get booked for a speaking engagement opportunity. So this is the method to do that. And I speak a lot about the power of one page. If you go on my LinkedIn profile, you will see every single tool I have available to me. I'm using the events, I'm using the newsletter, I'm using posting photos, I got videos, I'm leveraging almost every part of my LinkedIn profile to build my brand to get visibility for speaking engagements. And that's what I want from you. Okay. So with that said, I do want to remind you to go to your workbook where I have actually an outline of a 30-day scope plan for you to start creating visibility. Now, obviously, I'm running through this as quickly as possible and exposing you to this thought leadership right now through this boot camp. But in the accelerator, we go over this to help you identify a 30-day scope plan to be able to identify your target client and really get into the loop cycle of being visible in those speaker circuits. So when people are talking about who they're recommending to speak at an event, your name comes up. Okay. Now, with that said, before I get into finding an opportunity, I want to start answering those of you who identified and told me who your target client is. So let's go into this. So let's see who's first up here. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go over the first one, which is, I think we got Adiola. I'm going to identify your target right now. Can everyone see me? I think I lost you guys there. Okay. Okay, perfect. So let's start with Adiola. So Adiola, she says she identified her target clients to be employment resource groups, universities, and women professional groups and conferences. Okay. So if I'm looking at her brand, and we did a LinkedIn profile audit for her back on Tuesday, she is saying that these are 3 different target clients that she could identify to pay her to speak at an event. And this is where I say to you that we have to drill down your focus a little bit more and really say, okay, when you say employee resource groups, what does that mean? Does that mean that you're going to the employee resource groups at LinkedIn, Google, Intel, anyone who has a diversity inclusion group or women's group? And so you go to LinkedIn and say, okay, how many diversity groups do they have at LinkedIn? Let's say they have 5: DEI, women empowerment groups, gay and lesbian, transgender. And then, okay, now you find the representative, the lead person, the manager or director for each one of those groups. And then you DM each one of them. It's like, hey, if you guys are having any internal programs, I am someone who does a leadership talk on how to, position your worth as a diverse influencer in the business space, right? So now these are employee resource groups. So you identify 5 at LinkedIn. Okay. You identify who are the managers for each one of them. And now you got 5 contacts that we're going to reach out to and DM and have a conversation. And you're going to repeat that same process for all the top Fortune 500 companies. So you're going to go to Google, you're going to go to Intel, you're going to go to Deloitte. And now you have pretty much a target list of probably 1,000 plus individuals based on you telling me that your target group is employee resource groups. And you have to have an email script on what to say to them that appeals to what they need to tell them that you're available to speak, right? Because what you're going to say to them is going to be very different than the second target group that you told me, which are universities. Now, for universities, who are the universities you want to talk to? Are you going to talk to their as their alumni department, their training department? Who are you going to speak to? And again, once you identify who your target audience from one institution, Who are you targeting? Are you targeting only US-based institutions? Because I speak at global universities all the time. Maybe you're really positioned for Caribbean universities and universities in Europe. Or do you want to stick to the United States? Do you want to stay on the East Coast? Do you want to stay on the West Coast? You see how this gets really crazy really quick. For those of you who are saying that you can't find paid speaking engagement, I'm calling BS on this, because I could go on and on and on. And just from the universities, we got another set of thousands of people that we can reach out to. Then you tell me women professional groups and conferences. What does that mean? Are you identifying the top 100 women's business events in America, and then reaching out to each one of those organizers to tell them that you're available to speak? Now, half of them may not have a budget to pay you, but maybe their sponsors might pay you to speak at their event after you speak at that conference. So let's say there is the Forbes 100 Women event happening in New York every single year, and their sponsors are JP Morgan Chase and Deloitte and Intel. So now you go speak at Forbes 100 because it's a women professional group conference, and then those sponsors see you, and you make sure you go directly in beeline for those sponsors and have a conversation with them like, hey, I actually have a workshop presentation on the keynote that I did on stage. Are you interested? Do you see where this is going? Is this helpful? Right? You see how we could get into the rabbit hole really quickly? Okay, when it comes to identify, when I say I'm going to help you find your people, it's not fluff. I'm going to go down to the target title of the person and the name of that person. And once we figure it out from one place, we're going through the list of all the places where you can find that. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Let's go to the next person. This is, okay, so Sophie said, my target clients are colleges, institutions, and entrepreneurship. Perfect. So you will be identifying, okay, so let's get more clear. 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, East Coast, West Coast, mid coast. And when you talk about college, what department at the college are you reaching out to? There are several different departments. Are you talking to the entrepreneurship department, business department, entrepreneurship center? Are you talking to the alumni department? Are you talking to the financial aid office? Are you talking to the incoming department? Are you talking to, their support center department? Who are you specifically talking to? And once you identify who that is, then we start going to college by college and start identifying the names of those people. Okay, so that's really, really good. Let's see what Rachel Bolton got. She just said her target client are corporate event organizers. So you're targeting. So for you, if you're targeting corporate event organizers, again, we're going to go to each one of these institutions. Let's start with, let's say, JP Morgan Chase, right? They have a list of events. I will look at, okay, what department do you want to look at to? Because keep in mind, JP Morgan Chase is a big bank. So each department might have an annual retreat, an annual program, a wellness program. Usually when I look at corporate event organizers, I'm immediately targeting the employee wellness programs, whoever's organizing that, because that one always needs inspirational new speakers coming in. I'm automatically looking at their annual retreats, annual employee engagement sessions, or annual review programs, right? So those are different event organizers I'm looking at an institution. But if, let's say you are Rachel Bolton, I'm not sure what topic you speak on, but let's say you talk about sales strategy, right? So you're definitely going to reach out to each any product that's being sold by JP Morgan. Let's say JP Morgan, they sell checking accounts, business accounts, mortgage accounts. You're going to reach out to the sales product department and say, like, hey, are you looking for sales people to inspire your sales leads to come in to do a talk? Do you see how we could go again in the rabbit hole of this? So when we talk about event organizers, we got to be very clear which type of event organizers. And again, once I identify the title, this is why I always tell, this is how I do it. Identify the institutions I want to target. That's step one. Step two, I identify the title of the person who's going to be the decision maker at that institution. Once I get the title of that person, then I research who holds that title. And then I look at that person to see how engaged are they on LinkedIn. Are they someone where if I message them, they'll see it? And or are there someone I message them and no, obviously, because they're not active on LinkedIn. I'm not going to waste my time, right? So I go through that series of steps to the point that I have thousands to reach out to. And now all I'm doing at this point is not only adding those people to my LinkedIn, so they are visibly seeing me, but I'm also reaching out to them as well. Okay. So Rachel, that's another great one. So what I'm going to do now, because you guys are going really, really good with this. Okay. This is good. Okay. So let me get into how to find the opportunity, and then I'm going to go through the list. I think I have about 7 more people who just told me they're target clients. I'm going to end with it. Don't worry. I'm coming right back to you. So I just wanted to share those 3 examples. Was that helpful to you guys to hear how we drill down and target institutional decision makers who will pay you to speak? Right? That's why tomorrow we're going to talk about the speaker fees and what you should be charging for this. But I wanted to show you exactly how you could go on LinkedIn and go to work, honey. Okay, so let's find the opportunity. So how do we find the opportunity? Here's the secret. Boom. I just told you. You could just log off right now. You don't need anything but this blueprint. Okay. When I look at lead generation of who I want to get booked to speak and pay me to speak, I'm looking at these 10 different areas. Remember I told you conferences and okay now. Someone just mentioned that they couldn't hear me. I'm trying to text the team to see what's going on with the tech here. All right. So diving back in, these are the 10 different areas. Remember, I said conferences and events should be 15% or less of your strategy. Okay. So I want to make sure that was really clear. The other networks that you need to be tapping into are association, academia, like universities, government institution at different levels, at the federal level, the state level, city level. I've spoken at all levels of government, by the way. Corporate booking, that's probably the highest one, right? There's so much in terms of corporate booking opportunities. Okay. Then, obviously you have different ways of creating opportunities for yourself, like content strategy, platform distribution, hosting your own virtual events. But these are the things that create lead magnet opportunity for you to get booked. And how I separate that, the visual that you need to learn is that when it comes to booking your strategy, you want to be reaching out to the right people 40% of the time. That's B2B or B2G opportunities, right? So that's conferences, associations, academia, government, corporate booking. Okay. Just in those 5 target areas alone, there are thousands of decision makers that you need to reach out to and have a conversation with. Okay. Now, I am crazy. And the fact that I don't like to be dependent on invitations. I like to create opportunities for myself as well. Okay. So those 5 that I just shared with you is you getting the email script that in the Accelerate program, we walk you through how to customize your email script for outreaching these people, and you're DMing and reaching out to these people, building relationships. Yes. But I also say, because like I said, I'm crazy, you could create opportunities for yourself by creating the content that creates visibility where they could come to you. Now you're in a higher negotiating positioning power. Comment magnet if you want to be a magnet for opportunity. You want people coming to you the same way that you're doing outreach and outbound to close those speaking engagements. You want to be also outreaching. Okay. And how that looks like is where I say this B2C model, where you are also having content strategy on social media. You're hosting your own virtual webinar events. You're hosting your own conference events and inviting them to sponsor, and create multiple areas of visibility for yourself and closing deals that way. So I always tell people, have a balanced perspective, okay, with how you close speaking engagements. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket or one strategy. Okay. This combined strategy helps you get as much visibility as possible. And it's really, really important. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to dive into one because we don't have the time to go over the entire strategy in the Accelerate program. We go over the entire 10 and walk you through when I look at your personal profile and say, okay, you know what? I actually think you should be doing this. Actually, you know what, Deborah? I think you should be doing this because of your background. Actually, Adiola, I think you should be really talking to the academia circles, right? Where I look at who you are and what you've done and see which is the better target audience for you. So let's dive into the conference booking strategy. This is one that everyone talks about, but not everyone's doing a great job of this. If you are specifically targeting conferences and events, which, like I said, it should be less than 15% of your your time and your energy. You should be looking beyond that institutional decision makers, right? You'll be searching. I always say, like, what databases are you using? Eventbrite is my favorite database. I'm looking for events that are high premium, where they're charging high ticket dollars, they have high sponsors, and usually targeting ones that are in my local city, so it's easy for me to like get to know the organizers and reach out to them. And on a regular basis, I'm reaching out to events on Eventbrite with my team to get booked for paid speaking engagements. The trick is knowing which ones will pay you versus which ones will just like, yeah, you can come speak for free and just do something on the stage, right? No, you want to target the ones where they have a budget to pay you, and you are and the strategy that we shared, to give you a specific example, is that we go on Eventbrite, we look at these events, these target events based on the criteria that I share with you, and we look at their agenda and we see where the gaps are. And we look at like, oh, there's a gap right here between 9:45 to 10 o'clock a.m. I would love to fill that spot, because especially if I look at your content schedule, you're talking about sales strategy in a digital age, but you have nothing about entrepreneurship, marketing, and resilience. I would love to be able to plug that in, because I think that will complement and be a better segue into the panel that starts at 10:15 a.m. Did you see that flow? Are you guys getting what I'm putting out? Did you see that flow? That's what will get our organizer to react, because one, you're doing the work for them by auditing their agenda, auditing gaps, telling them where to put you, and telling them that you got the goods that they should pay to have you on. Okay, so these are strategies that we do. Obviously, there's a second database that we look at. We have Google Alerts on certain topics. We'll call for speakers. We have that, so that way we automatically get email notifications. This is another industry kept secret. I sign up for newsletters that also have event organizers constantly seeking speakers. So if you follow my newsletter, once a month, I actually share call for speaker applications for different events that are looking for speakers in my network. And so that way you could get booked and paid to speak. Right. And by the way, as part of the accelerator program, as alumni, you get more frequent updates on information on different speaking engagement opportunities that are available as well in your network. Okay, and the last one was eSpeakers, which has a membership fee component, but you could do the 60-day free trial to test it out, get your foot wet, to get to know the platform and really start to get visibility and really look at their dashboard, where they have time-sensitive opportunities looking for paid speakers as well. Okay, so this is one example of a cold outreach strategy to do to be able to close and find paid speaking engagements, and just knowing what to say and how to say it. Okay, now, if you identify the right people, here's where people get stunned. I could give you a list of 1,000 people right now that are your target audience that you could go speak to right now. You know where you guys get stuck? You don't know what to say. You don't know how to close them. You don't know how to have the conversation and say, okay, how do I contact the organizer and what do I say to them? Okay. Here's where we get very direct. You either email them or call them. Okay. Phone call is best, because phone call is like, if they are working a 9-to-5 job as a full-time person for a program or initiative, they're getting calls to the office, and that usually builds really quick rapport anyway. Okay. Or you email them. So let's talk about email. Okay. With email, this is what happens. So with that said, with the email script outreach, you want to have, first off, a closing subject line that gets people to immediately react to you, right? So for me, at the time, one of the subjects I was using is like, follow up on the Forbes speaker for, and the name of the company, right? That I wanted to speak at. And get straight to the point. Are you in charge? And notice I said, not are you looking for speakers? Are you in charge of booking speakers for XYZ company? Because the point is, you're looking for the decision maker that has a budget. If you're saying you're looking for speakers, you're putting yourself in the boat of being able to be positioned for the program or the institution. That's not what we want. Are with the right person, they'll respond. If not, they'll forward it. Okay. And you say, I would love to feature one of XYZ people. Make sure there's a link and there's a calendar link to connect you. It's a very quick pitch. Now, let me tell you this. One thing that I will tell you, gurus are lying to you. They tell you there's one template to be able to reach out to speaking engagements. There's not one template. There's a format. And I don't want you to memorize this template. For the love of God, don't just memorize the template. I want you to know the strategy. Let me tell you why this works. One, there's a hook line to get them to want to react immediately and open the email. Apologies for that. I think I just got kicked off the session. Can everyone hear me again? And those who sent me their target clients and I did not see it, please can you put it back up on the thread because I have now lost it because I got booted out of the platform. Apologies for that. I just got booted off um, StreamYard. Okay, everyone can hear me okay? Please, if I didn't go over your target list, I want to end the session with that. So please put it back on the thread so that way I can be able to identify that. I can see if I let me see if I can see that on my thread here. But everyone can hear me okay now, right? So with that said, the second thing that I told you, I was identifying what makes this work. One, the hook of the email subject. Two, getting straight to the point. And three, really identifying for individuals a link to something that showcases me in action so that way they know they're right, making the right decision and not going back and forth with them on a time, give them a link to be able to book and follow up. Okay. So that is like what makes it work. So, and I always tell people when someone's telling you something from experience, watch what they mean by what they say, right? Don't just take my word for it and look at the template. Think about how you respond to email. And is this something that will trigger you to respond or engage, right? These are the things that you need to be thinking about and be a little bit more cynical about what actually converts and gets people to react if you are speaking their language properly to get them to close for you, okay? So with that said, the second thing I will say, again, we don't have time to go over the entire cycle right now, but the main thing I want to make sure that you understand is that, you know, when you're doing outreach, you don't just stop at the first outreach. You're reaching out multiple times so that way you stay on their radar. And usually people respond in multiple ways. Either they say like, hey, you know, fill out this form or RFP. I always tell people never pay to speak. Okay, never pay to speak. And the RFP is way too long. Like they ask you for a full abstract, don't do it because usually when they're paying people to speak, you don't need to do all that. They're looking for the right people to close, and usually they only need just basic logistical information about you to make their decision. So don't do it. Okay, so they'll either tell you to fill out a speaker form because they're putting you in a rabbit hole for something for them to follow up later, or they might say, like, you know, send me more information. Let's get on a call. That's usually good. Or a flat no. You want the flat no's so you can stop wasting your time following up with that client, right? And so these are the outreach buckets that you will fall into when it comes to your follow-up strategy when it comes to public speaking opportunities that you find. Okay. Now, some do's and don'ts. I do want to remind you guys that when you're reaching out to people, try your best to not always do the outreach on yourself. Have someone reach out on behalf of you because it adds more respect and credibility to your brand. It's usually hard to close paid speaking engagements directly because if you're a paid speaker on the circuit, they expect that you have a team with you. Okay. Also, don't email from your personal account. You should have a professional email account. So mine is hello@christineandtim.com. That's what my team used to operate. Never, 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 never reach out from your personal email. It's an automatic, like, just no, because again, I can't take you seriously if you're reaching out on a professional paid opportunity and you're messaging me through your personal Gmail account. It just doesn't work. Don't negotiate contracts directly. I always tell people try to negotiate contracts via email. Don't get on the phone, go back and forth. You can never negotiate on your behalf and get higher dollars. Get someone else on the phone to negotiate on your behalf or negotiate as a third party via email. This is something that, again, no one will ever tell you, but I'm telling you, it doesn't work if you negotiate on your behalf because you're going to price yourself out. Okay. Don't stop after a rejection email. Always stay polite and follow up with people. I've seen that follow-ups always work. And this is the biggest one, you will get blacklisted so quickly. Never insult an event planner or organizer just because they're being rude to you. Never tell them, like, well, why are you not giving a fee? I've seen people spaz and lose their mind with my team, or where we have a free event but we're not paying speakers, and just say like, yo, so why are you having the event then? I'm like, okay, that person's blacklisted. And if someone asks about that person, we don't recommend them, right? Because it's not your job to police the industry and have the audacity to come for people about how they're doing things with their events. You cannot do that. And I've seen so many people really tarnish their brand by insulting event organizers because they're so frustrated that they're not making any money or getting any traction with their brand. Please don't do that. So that's a couple of do's and don'ts there. And last but not least, do include a link of you speaking, given an example. That usually does help. Do review the conference agenda. I've seen that the conversion rate of actually doing your due diligence on the event helps so much to close that engagement because you're doing the work for the organizer to make a decision immediately. Okay. Now, with that said, I want to dive into target clients that's on the call. So Deborah just put hers up. I want to respond to hers as well. If I did not respond to your post with your target client, please put it back up again because I cannot see it because I got booted out of StreamYard, so I don't see what's going on. Okay, I don't see it. All right. So Deborah just asked, Harta, I want managers of European tourism boards and directors of European culture routes to hear me speak, but I'm not sure who to pitch to. This is a perfect question. So if you're trying to reach out to European tourism boards to get booked to speak, first off, you start by identifying how many of them are hosting annual events, okay? So there are a lot of different European events across London, Germany, Europe, different parts of Europe. So the first thing is try to identify the players at the events. Now, remember I told you don't stop at events. I want you to look at all the speakers at those events. Usually those are decision makers who have organizations that are looking to close speakers to speak at. So usually it's the airline companies, it's the tourism companies, the hospitals. You're going to reach out to them to build rapport with them as well, to be able to go to their institutions to speak. And you have to have a signature talk specifically either for the industry. So maybe you have a trending topic talk. So this is something that we would have to discover, Deborah, where I would have to sit with you and figure out what is your signature talk right now and how does it serve this audience of you speaking in front of European tourism boards or European culture routes, right? Do you have like a trending topic like, hey, here are the top trends that's affecting tourism in Europe right now? Or here's the demographic poll, or here's how to generate revenue in tourism right now in European markets. Like, what signature talk do you have that will tell them, like, look, they need your expertise either in-house or at the event? Because the goal is you're trying to not only get on their mainstream conference event circuit, but you're also trying to get into their in-house departments, talking to them institutionally. And what we would do is the third thing that I would say, if you're going to target clients in this space, you need to be able to think of, okay, in tourism, when you talk about tourism boards, either you're specifically targeting the tourism boards themselves, where there's association and organizations, and let's say there's 30 of them across Europe, and you identify them, reach out to them, or are you looking for tourism specific companies? And we got to figure out the strategy you want to do to blanket the ecosystem. Are you going to target all the tourism companies that have a European footprint and try to speak at their institutions? So are you going to speak at Virgin Atlantic? Are you going to speak at the European Migration Council? Are you going to speak at Vonage? Are you going to speak at Booking.com? Right? You're going to think about all the different players in the tourism industry. Look for the decision makers on LinkedIn, and our script is going to be very different for the ones who are hosting events versus the ones who have institutions where you're coming in-house. Was that helpful? Hopefully that makes sense, like how we would target and how we would reach out to different players in the market for that, okay? Anyone else have a target client that they're trying to figure out who to reach out to, okay? You can send that right now, all right? So I could give some responses. So hopefully that was really helpful to you guys because I saw a lot of reactions on that, okay? But, this is the thing. When it comes to target, I'm looking at also your strategy, how you want to also blanket the market as well, right? Who do you want to talk to? Why you want to talk to them? When we figure out why we want to talk to them, what we're going to pitch them. Okay. So Deborah said yes. All right. And see, and that was just me responding in 2 minutes. I don't even have the full context of what you're looking at. In the accelerator program, I will deep dive. We will have to have a full conversation. Okay. A full conversation about, your profile and who you're targeting. And we got to get to work. We got to reach out to them, create visibility. And I would even recommend you doing either a quarterly trend analysis on the industry, and you send them that video recording or a report on you doing that. These are all things that make it easier for you to get booked and paid. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. We are now, obviously, we have like a couple minutes left. So I do want to end by saying that tomorrow, now that we know how we identify target clients, okay, the next step is tomorrow. I want to talk to you guys about how to really craft your speaker fees, how to actually do contracts, okay, for yourself. And then last but not least, how to turn all of this into a profitable speaker business where you're getting paid on a regular basis, because now you have the operational background to manage your brand throughout this entire ordeal and this entire journey. So tomorrow we're bringing everything together. We're tying everything together, how to go beyond speaking gigs that give you authority. Let's get you paid and talk about how to do your speaker fees, your speaker. And we're also going to talk about your speaker profile, what packet to put together to really complete your profile to get booked, what to send. Last but not least, I do want to give you guys a final invitation to join me for the Speaker Accelerator program. If you are enjoying what you're learning right now and this is helpful to you, this is going to be what it's going to be, deep dive and more personal through this program. I can't stress this enough. We're in an economy right now where you need strategic, practical advice on your personal situation. Some of you have very specific challenges that you are dealing with your personal brand that you need feedback and advice and strategic guidance on. I would love to support you in that journey. I do this cohort once a year live, and I want to invite you to join this program. The investment is so worth it. You guys have been a part of my network for years now. Some of you have gotten to know me over the past couple months. Some of you have been in my network for years. So you know like how I deep dive. You've experienced it a little bit this week. And so I want to give you guys that invitation. And as stated before, those of you who book by the deadline of tomorrow, okay, not only do you get one personalized one-on-one session with me for a strategy session, in addition, you get two. So you get two in total, okay? If you get into the program, obviously with the program, everyone gets one-on-one consulting session, private consulting session with me, in addition to the group coaching program. If you book by the deadline or whatever comes first, because we only have 10 slots for this, you will be able to get access to 2 consulting personal one-on-one sessions, which by the way, is even worth the $2,005. Okay. Just having a private advisory session with me is worth the investment for me to look at your profile and deep dive on the strategy and help you get to work. Okay. So with that said, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you same time, same place. Can you believe it? Tomorrow is the last day of the bootcamp series. So you guys got some decisions to make. Okay. And so there's a lot going out here. Hopefully you guys are taking what I put out today and you're going back to the drawing board, looking at your profiles. Okay, who's my target audience? How do I look at this? And then for those of you, if I didn't get to get through it today, tomorrow, it's your last chance. So think of all your questions, all your issues, all your challenges. Think of them tonight. Be ready. Tomorrow's the last day. I'll do a couple of final LinkedIn audits tomorrow. I've seen a lot of you guys have DM my team too many times for more LinkedIn audits as well. I will be doing the last leg of it. So tomorrow might be a long session. So be ready for that. It might go an hour and 15 minutes. We'll see. But with that said, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, just want to remind you guys the invitation is open for you to join the Paid Speaker Accelerator program. I'll put it on the chat for you guys to access this here for you guys to join. And yeah, let me know what was your favorite part of today. I'm seeing the thank yous and loves come through. I really appreciate that. That always gives me a lot of energy when I see that you guys are learning a lot, taking practical tips, because I'm tired of the bullshit, guys. I want to make sure that you guys are walking away with something that you can just execute on and you're like, yep, I get it now. She told me what I need to do. Let's go. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. And like I said, if you are an action taker and you want to you want to do this, the Paid Speaker Accelerator program is the program for you to work with me live over the course of 30 days. If you have questions, I did a FAQ at the beginning of the session, so you could go back to see the replay on that. You can email William and the team at hello@christineandtim.com as well. So without further ado, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be with all of you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you tomorrow. Lovelies. Bye-bye.
But this world, as big as it is, one person can be the tipping scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to judge you and tell you you're too naive.